Looking for a new vehicle? Swap your keys during Mr. T's Swap-Tember sales event going on now at Lynn's Nissan and Hyundai. Trade up to a new vehicle for less. Plus, expect more and get more with our New Beginnings Automotive Finance Program, where you can drive home a new car regardless of your credit history. Hurry in and swap your keys during Mr. T's Swap-Tember sales event, or shop online at lins.com. Drive home happy at Lynn's.
Show that shines a spotlight on some of the first artists who were ever played on Indie Star Radio, and those artists who have become an integral part of Indie Star Radio's success. Hungry for knowledge and good music? Then you've come to the right place. Let's dig in and hear about this next great artist here on The Core. Welcome to The Core, Episode 2. I'm your host, Alan Wayne. Like the introduction said, this is a show that celebrates the artists who came first, who came to Indie Star Radio quite some time ago, when we started a couple years back, and also artists who've made great, I guess you could say, great contributions to Indie Star Radio. And and when I first heard that track, let me tell you, it was mind-blowing. I remember I received it a couple months after I got started in 2017. And when I heard that track, it just brought back so many different, I guess you could say, memories for me, because I would listen to it, and I got this Chicago vibe right away. Kind of like an 80s Chicago. Just for some reason, I think it was because of the tempo and the pace of the song. But then you throw in this Latin guitar, you throw in these powerful synthesizers, and it is just a complete and utter just gem. It's unique. It's something you don't hear very much. So I was just really impressed with Bamil's music. And talking with him, he's always been a great guy. He's always been supportive of Indie Star Radio, and we've been very happy to play his music. So tonight we are featuring quite a bit of music from Bamil. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get him on an interview, so we won't be hearing any back and forth between him and I. But we're going to be hearing plenty of music from him. In fact, I'm going to be playing all 6 tracks I have. In fact, I just played 188 or The Train, that first track. And by the way, for you that are not familiar, Bamil won the 2018 Indie Star Radio Award for Male Artist of the Year. He was consistent, he was always sending material over, and it was always really good quality stuff and very unique. That's one thing we like here on Indie Star Radio, is unique music, something that you're not going to hear everywhere else, something that differentiates us, kind of separates us from the pack. And certainly that's what Bamil brings to the table. So that song, 188 or The Train, is like a lot of songs that Bamil writes. It's about his real life. It's about his life in New York, going to work early in the morning and coming home much later than he should. Working hard and being a family man and just trying to make music while working. I know how that is. I mean, most of us know how that is. Trying to do what we love while putting food on the table, because doing what we love, unfortunately, at the moment, is not putting food on our table. And his dedication to music and to his craft, you can totally tell if you talk to him. He's just so dedicated to his music and to his craft, and he's so proud, and he's so happy to share everything that he does with everyone. He even has his own line of picks known as B-Force picks, and these are like the strongest picks that I've ever felt. They're strong, but they're flexible. I'm not a very good guitar player, but from the way they feel, they're not flimsy like those thin nickel picks you get some places, and they're not overly stout, like those real small stout ones, to where they keep slipping out of your fingers. They're the perfect size, and they're thick, they're sturdy, but they have give, and they're flexible, and I really love those picks. And these are designed by him. These B-Force picks are designed by him. And that is really impressive. I mean, it's like he's not only a great musician, but he's also like an inventor. Like he's coming up with stuff to make his craft work. And with that experience, he's improving his own experience. So we're going to play a track here from Bamil. This is called If I Could Change the World for You, and I believe this is off let me see, which album? He's put out so many albums, I cannot keep track. I have about 6 songs, and I can't keep track of the albums because, man, he's just always putting out albums and always doing something. So tonight's featured artist is Bamil, and this is If I Could Change the World for You, here on Indie Star Radio on the Core. If I Could Change the World for You, that was from Bamil, tonight's featured artist on The Core. Now, a funny little joke about my friend. I've always had trouble with his name. Not trouble like saying, oh, I have trouble with somebody's name, like, oh, well, your name is not pleasing to me. It's always just saying, like, am I saying your name properly? Like the other day, I interviewed Mikal Tauber, and when I look at her name, I just see Michael Tober, and and you'll hear on the interview, which airs next week, there are a couple of different times where I forget, but that cut was from his album 10. That was called If I Could Change the World for You. One thing I really like about Bamil's music is that you have this real up-tempo kind of mood to a lot of his music, and it just gets you moving. And it's one of those classic sounds that I don't think ever goes away or gets old. There's a lot of music out there that you can say is dated. I mean, you listen to some of the AM gold from the 70s, for instance, like Rock Me Gently by Andy Kim, and those types of songs, or Bay City Rollers, anything they do, you're just like, yeah, that's from the 70s, that's dated. Even though Bamil's music comes from a classic time, or sounds like it comes from a classic time, or a certain point of time, like the 80s, it's of a timeless quality. And that's what makes his music stand out, is that it is timeless. It's good music that can be enjoyed by people of all ages, and music being the universal language that it is. We're going to hear another track from 10. This track is called Misery, here on The Core. Diane Moore in the chat room says that that was her favorite Bamil track. That was Misery. And, excuse me. Too many sour Skittles. One of the things about Bamil that's very interesting is that if you listen to that track in particular, Misery, there is this real prominent bass that just drives the engine. You know that the bass in a band, really, when you have a bass guitar in a band, it moves the rhythm section. The drums kind of give it a little pop, but the bass really just is the chassis. If you're thinking about a car, the bass is just like the chassis of the car and the wheels, just moving the whole thing along. And some could say, well, the drums are this, and we could go into all sorts of analogies. But I think that the bass is what moves a song forward, and that is what impressed me on that track was the bass, the prominent bass line on that track really impressed me, along with the keyboards and the guitars and the distinctive vocals that Bamil puts on the track. Interesting enough, that's all him. The production, the mixing, the mastering, every single instrument. And if you're like me, and you've been listening to music a long time, and I don't know how I picked this up. I listen, ever since I learned how to produce, I listen to music by track, especially when it's piped into my earbuds, especially when it's in my headphones. I listen by track. And it's, when you break a song down like that and you just figure out all the levels, it's like eating different levels of a cake or eating different levels of a hamburger. Are you guys that kind of weird like I am, where you take the bun off and you eat it separately and you take the meat off and you eat it separately? It's a different experience. It certainly is. And in that track, there's so much going on. There's 2 tracks of keys at least. Bamil can correct me on that. 2, maybe 3 tracks of keys on that. There's a significant bass line, maybe double tracked. There's guitars, multiple guitars over that. There's the vocals and, of course, the drums. And just to think of all of those pieces and parts to put together. When you're in a band, you have your own set instruments that you have to worry about. In studio, miking drums is probably one of the banes of my existence, because you have to, in order to get a good drum sound, you can do one of 2 things. You can either plug a drum machine into your board, or you can mic each and every single drum. Or you can, 3 things. You can put, 3 mics overhead or 3 mics underneath, or put a bass drum mic and put a mic between the 2 toms. I've tried to do every single bit of that. And it took me, when we recorded, the only time that I ever recorded in a professional studio was 15 years ago now. There were drum mics on practically every single drum, and there was an overhead boom mic. So it was probably, considering the kit I was using, there's probably close to 10 microphones. And I couldn't do that. and then tracking and everything else. The point I'm trying to get to is that it is damn hard work when you're an individual and you are creating a song from scratch. It's a recipe. It's like you're taking portions of a recipe. You're taking a cup of this, a cup of that. You're mixing it all together and hoping it comes out. That's all it is like a recipe. And some of the folks in the chat, like Steve and Diane Moore, Bamil, of course, because we're featuring him and I'm going on and on about his engineering prowess, just knows that is so tough to do. Now, electronic drum kits have made it a lot easier to record drums, and at some point I'm going to get myself another one. But the point being, mixing, mastering, recording, pain in the ass. What am I trying to say? As a musician, there we go. As a musician, just concentrating on your own parts can be really excruciating. Getting them down, getting them perfect. And to think, all of those tracks, if you separate them out, all those tracks on just that one song, on Misery, separate them all out. Bamil had to play the music. He wrote the music. he had to basically do everything and get it spot on and then mix it and levels. And it's just such an intense and incredible amount of work that I cannot say enough about how impressed I am by that he does it by himself, and he does it so well. And that's part of the reason we're featuring Bamil tonight. Up next is another cut from 10. This is called Brother Time. See if you can take this one apart. And for you folks in the chat room, those on Live 365 don't know what a chat room is, go to Spreaker, www.spreaker.com, sign up for your free account using Facebook or Google or however you want to do it. And you too can be in the chat room with Indie Star Radio and actually talk to the artist. We have Bamil right here in the chat room talking with fans. So I like to think that our programs are the artist-preferred programs because the artists, they go for more of what's real. And I think we come across as real, and we're real music geeks here. We love music, and we love all kinds of music, and we're very inclusive. So do check us out on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com. That and all of our shows are available on the Spreaker archive as well. If you go to Spreaker.com/user/Indie Star Radio, you can catch many, many shows that we do. By the way, Thursday, this is a little programming note before we get to some more Bamil here, Brother Time off the 10 album. Thursday will be Indie Jukebox, the Rock Edition, and you'll probably be hearing some Bamil on that particular program. But yes, this is Rock Week here on Indie Star Radio. If you're listening on Spreaker, do tune into Live 365. It's 24 hours a day up until Saturday at midnight. We're playing nothing but the best indie rock, so do check it out. But right now, we are going to get back to the man of the hour. This is Bamil with Brother Time, another cut off of 10, here on Indie Star Radio, and this edition of The Core.
They haven't changed, people change it. 10 doesn't have to blame for your disgrace. People need to learn and grow inside their mind. Times come and goes, the people don't realize the time is all of colors rerun. Finally you can choose the one you want to wear to brighten your days. Time will be forever an unstoppable film where you can act in your favor. Fucked up yourself for good.
Bamil says he enjoyed recording that track. He really enjoyed recording that track. He used a wah-wah pedal with a flanger together and pressed those while playing the solo. And it's just... Okay, think of some of the great pedal workers of guitars. I mean, ever since the day that Marty Robbins blew out a speaker and came up with distortion, there have been so many different people who worked pedals to their advantage, making amazing sounds. My guitar player, Enrique Nunez, plays... He has a pedal case that has about a dozen pedals, and it is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. But yeah, the work on the guitar there and the different layers. Once again, just the layers of music that Bamil puts in are just amazing. It's just so many, just stacks upon stacks. It's beautiful. And to think he does all of that is absolutely incredible. So, also came to find out that the music that I'm playing tonight is almost exclusively from Bamil's latest album, the 10 album, which is available if you just follow Bamil Music on Twitter, talk to him, see where he's selling it. It's probably all over the place, probably on Apple Music and everywhere you can get music, Spotify, I'm sure, and tons of different places. And Bamil, the thing of it is with him is that when he promotes his albums, he goes all out, and it's kind of this community thing with him and his wife. His wife does the artwork and does backing vocals and does writing as well. But yeah, between the two of them, they put out a hell of a lot of media. They put out a ton of media. And by the way, Bamil says in the chat room he built his own pedal board, and says thanks to the real Steve Lukather from Toto, he personally advised him on some stuff to work on. So Bamil is an artist in the truest sense, not just somebody who plays music and makes good music, but all around he's creative. And he creates these soundscapes, like this one, featuring Julia Crystal, who's a vocalist we are real big fans of here at Indie Star Radio. This is Bamil's collaboration with her, entitled Mrs. Good Luck, here on The Core.
Lots of emotions and joys make me
This collaboration with Julia Crystal, called Mrs. Good Luck, really exemplifies the great time in music that we live in. Bamil collaborating with Julia Crystal is really just an example of how the internet and how social media and everything like that, Twitter, Facebook, has really brought us all closer together. No matter where we are, we can always come together and have experiences together. Jimena Arroyo is a great example of that, recording songs with musicians from over six continents. We're still trying to get her someone in Antarctica, but I don't know. We'll see how that works out. But yes, that is incredible that people can do that they can collaborate together, being worlds apart, socially, economically, financially, philosophically. It doesn't matter. Through music, they connect and they come together and they create something wonderful. And that's a great side effect of social media. I know a lot of people say that social media is not a good thing. It's kind of evil. But in any case, it's really, really just tremendous. When you think of the body of work that Bamil's put out there, how he arranges it himself, puts it together, all those different instruments, at least half a dozen instruments together for a track, and he's collaborating and mixing the lovely voice of Julia Crystal to come together with that. It really blows the mind in a way to think of all the work that Bamil uses, or that Bamil puts in and does, and all of the connections he uses and just everything. It's really incredible. And we're so happy to say that he's been a fixture on our station ever since we began in September of 2017. By the way, the core will be running until October 8th. This is another programming note, because starting on October 8th, it will be Pop and Country with Jennifer Malott. Jennifer Malott's going to have her own show here on Indie Star Radio. It'll be an hour-long feature, or thereabouts, maybe 45 minutes, or 45 minutes to an hour, however long it goes. It's going to be a show featuring Jennifer Malott's favorite pop and country, and if you're a fan of hers, you know she's a sweet gal. Do check it out, starting October 8th at this same time here on Indie Star Radio. And we will be doing episodes of the core from time to time after that, but that will be the end of the regular running. So this is kind of a limited edition type of show, because Jennifer's coming on board starting October 8th here on Indie Star Radio. All right, we're going to wrap it up with a track. This is the latest that I've received. This is also from the 10 album. And this was co-written by Bamil's lovely wife, Nancy, who, as any man knows, you need a good woman behind you. Always, you need a good woman behind you to always push you forward. And it's being married myself. It's like when I'm down on my luck, you know, my wife sees that. When I'm disappointed, when I'm frustrated with what's going on in this booth, when I'm frustrated with what's going on in my life, she's there. And she, you know, either smacks me in the head, or she, you know, she just does something to me. You know, like she snaps me out of it. And that's what a good support system does for you. We've done shows together, my wife and I. She's offered to do some art for my shows and everything. It's just she's more into the painting media, whereas the stuff that we're putting out there is more digital. So she has said that she's going to paint something for me one of these days when she gets the time, but she is a very busy lady. And with Bamil, like, writing with his wife, that's a very deep thing, you know, because there are two types of couples when you're talking about artists. There's the couple that the husband or wife just lets their partner do what they do, and then they do what they do, which there's nothing wrong with that, but that's how it's run. And there are the collaborations. Steve and Diane Moore, the Cranberry Merchants. Beautiful collaboration there. Several other, The Frost, several other folks, they have this beautiful collaboration. And now, Bamil and Nancy put things together. And, yeah, it's really incredible. It's how we, it's how they roll, I suppose. Well, I'm going to stop looking at the chat because the chat was moving a little fast here, and we're going to conclude this show. I just want to say thank you to Bamil for all the time, all the energy, and probably the most epic acceptance speech I've ever heard. We did this thing for the show, the 2018 Indie Star Radio Awards, where we couldn't have a hall or anything like that, so I produced what sounded as close to an award show as possible. I produced it and cut it all together, and part of that was asking for acceptance speeches. And Bamil sent me over this acceptance speech that was just like Oscar-worthy, and it was incredible and wonderful, and I just absolutely loved it. So it's really, really great. I want to take this opportunity, as we're speaking about spouses, to thank my spouse, Steph, for everything she does, helping me raise two amazing children, helping with the house, not being too pissed off that I got fired. Oh, laid off from my job. Just being so supportive of what I do. And, Bamil knows you have a good woman behind you, and everything seems to come together. All right, Two Worlds Between Us, Bamil, and co-written by his wife, Nancy. Thank you for tuning into The Core. Next week, we will be featuring the Cranberry Merchants, another husband and wife duo, I suppose you could say. For everyone here at Indie Star Radio, this is Alan Wayne. Thank you, Bamil. Thank you, everybody who came tonight to the show. And remember, you can catch this show on the replay if you missed any of it here on Spreaker.com/user/Indie Star Radio. Tune in on Thursday for the Indie Jukebox Rock Edition. Thank you, and have a great night.
the word to see where I came from. I love to stay back by two world between us. Where you feel alive. There's nothing better than where your heart is. Where is a son, a mother, your house, and all the things that you really can call Puerto Rico.
Looking for a new vehicle? Swap your keys during Mr. T's Swap-Tember sales event going on now at Lynn's Nissan and Hyundai. Trade up to a new vehicle for less. Plus, expect more and get more with our New Beginnings Automotive Finance Program, where you can drive home a new car regardless of your credit history. Hurry in and swap your keys during Mr. T's Swap-Tember sales event or shop online at Lynn's.com. Drive home happy at Lynn's. Looking for a new vehicle? Swap your keys during Mr. T's Swap-Tember sales event going on now at Lynn's Nissan and Hyundai. Trade up to a new vehicle for less. Plus, expect more and get more with our New Beginnings Automotive Finance Program, where you can drive home a new car regardless of your credit history. Hurry in and swap your keys during Mr. T's Swap-Tember sales event or shop online at Lynn's.com. Drive home happy at Lynn's.